So I just heard that my buddy Berkey won his match against Nick Airball. And evil has been vanquished, right? Everything changes, right? You know what? I don't think this is going to affect my life in the bit. It's time to head to the Encore. So it is Saturday, May 6th. We have successfully navigated ourselves to the Encore. We secured the last available parking spot in the whole joint. We're on the list. Now let's just see if we can get into a game. The 510 and 1020 games here have been running pretty regularly and have both been off the hook. So I'm down to play either of those. But my guess is we will probably be playing 2.5 for a while. You know, lists.
Let me just start by saying this. This session sucked. You know what? Actually, let me be more specific, as by the time we finish this vlog, you will have seen 3 different sessions at 2 different stakes. So specifically, this opening session of 510 No Limit at the Encore sucked. But at least I got a seat right away. I really could get nothing going. After losing a few normal type hands, I don't feel like I was playing my best poker by a long shot. In this hand, the under the gun straddle is on, so essentially we're playing 5, 10, 20. I open the action in the cutoff to $50 with ace 4 of hearts. The button raises to 170, and the under the gun straddler comes along. At this point, delusions of grandeur kick in, and I call the additional $120. Absolutely nothing going on for me on the Jack 3-8-2 diamond board, and when the under the gun straddler checks, I check behind. No checks in the button though. He bets $200, which gets quickly called by the straddler, and I exit this one. I really don't know what was going on with me, but I wasn't there for very long before I just lost discipline. I started making calls that should be folds in an attempt to just win a pot. That rarely works. I was really trying to force it, doing strange things like turning hands that normally mostly fold into hands that mostly call. I mean, but who am I telling? Y'all have been there. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Couple all of that with just the normal flow of missing flops or villains just legitimately having better hands than you, and before you know it, you're down about half a buy-in. And then most of my hands that were strong enough to open weren't strong enough to call or 4-bet people that 3-bet me. So there was a ton, and I mean a ton of hands that went hero opens, hero gets 3-bet, hero folds. These folds, man, they start taking a toll and losses accumulate quickly. It wasn't all doom and gloom though. Occasionally I did get a hand that not only was worthy of opening, but could also withstand 3 and 4-bet pressures if it came to that. In this next hand, we get just one of those holdings. Pocket aces. Under the gun, I opened at $30 and only get action in the way of a call from the cutoff. Immediately, this narrows his range. The big Broadway cards become a little less likely, smaller pairs and connectors become a little more likely. Thus, I'm not too keen when we both see the flop of Jack 8-9 with 2 clubs, especially since I don't even hold a club in my hand. I check, and the villain continues for $40. Easy call. It would be nice if the poker gods took mercy on me with a nice, easy to deal with turn. They don't. The Queen of Spades appears. I check again, and again the cutoff bets. $110 this time. I'm not too happy with how this hand is progressing so far. My top of the mountain hand has quickly descended said mountain and is hovering around the medium strength area now. I call the $110. The River 5 of clubs not only brings in the front door flush, it also brings in another straight draw. Not many top pairs on the flop will be betting this river unimproved, so my hand is now hovering around the bluff catcher area. I check again, bracing for the mental anguish. It doesn't come. The cutoff checks it back, I table my aces, and they're good. The $20 under the gun straddle is on here, and the player first to act opens for $50. This normally represents a really strong hand, as this is the worst position to open a hand from. The cutoff calls. I look down at Queen Jack of clubs and come along, as does the big blind. 4 of us continue to the flop. Seeing the Queen of diamonds in the window is a sign that maybe things are looking up. Seeing it followed by the King of Spades and 8 of Spades tempers my joy. I check, the big blind checks, and both the original opener and cutoffs check. It's checked through. The turn 8 of clubs does not bring additional enjoyment. I check again, and the big blind now bets $120, which is followed by a quick call from the original opener and 2 quick folds. One from the cutoff, and one from myself. Since I have to sit here anyway, I watch the rest of the hand transpire. The river brings the King of clubs pairing the king and double pairing the board. The big blind now checks, and surprisingly, the original opener does too. They both table their hands, and I quickly come to the realization that I folded the winner, as they both have 2 different versions of ace high. I really wasn't feeling it. I needed a change. I needed to snap out of this bad played mode I was in, and I got just the reprieve when I heard the announcement that a new 1020 game was being opened. New game, higher stakes, and thus a reset in the level of focus needed to prevail. I immediately got a table change. Mentally, I was feeling better in the 1020 game. The reset worked. I won a few small pots, lost a couple tiny ones, and was slowly crawling back out of the $1,500 hole I had put in my pocket from that 5-10 session. In the first meaningful hand I played in this game, the $40 straddle is on, and the button, a recreational player I don't recognize, makes it $110. I call with 2 9s in the small blind, the big blind calls, as does the straddle. Another 4-way pot. Interestingly, both flop and turn get checked through 4 ways, and as we were headed towards the river, I'm thinking, I most likely have the best hand here, because both the big blind and straddle positions were never shy about putting money into the pot, yet they hadn't. The river jack being a second overcard to my 9s gives me a little bit of pause. I check, big blind and straddle check as well, and the button goes into the tank for a while before betting $280. I wish I could describe to you why it didn't feel right, but it just didn't. His bet felt off. In hindsight, I could probably raise in this spot, but my in-game decision was just to call. The big blind folds quickly, and now the straddler is in the tank. And I don't like this at all. About 40 seconds later, he thankfully finds the fold. The button says 9 high.
Down?
9 high.
I'm fucking retarded.
And I drag my biggest pot of the night. So far. The dealer brings in the cards and the next hand is dealt. The $40 straddle is still on as I look down at Ace-King offsuit on the button and the same player opens to $110 now from the cutoff position. A 3-bet is definitely in order here. Although you guys know how I feel about this unpaired piece of... Sorry. I make it $340. The small blind folds and the big blind decides to 4-bet. He makes it $900 and the cutoff folds. I look down at my stack and guesstimated at about $3,600 or $3,700. In hindsight, ripping it in here is probably the best play. With the straddle on, we aren't even 100 big blinds deep. In game though, I didn't really remember that the straddle was on, and ripping in almost 200 big blinds with Ace-King offsuit felt very punty. So I call the $900. Heads up, we see a flop of King 7-10 rainbow, and now the big blind leads, and leads small, $200. I really don't expect many 4-bets coming my way with 7s or 10s. I block both aces and kings, which doesn't mean he doesn't have them, it just makes them less likely. And if he does have them, I'll just be going back to my box for more money sooner than expected. Either way, I'm not going to let him get away with this small lead. I need to get more money into this pot. I raise to $1,000 and he calls 2 seconds later. In other words, he's not bluffing. We finna ride. The turn 6 of hearts should be nothing, and what I'm expecting to happen is for him to check, me to shove, and then him to tank. But that's not what happens at all. What actually happens is he just rips all of his chips in, covering me. This line was a little surprising. I don't often see someone call a check raise and then just lead all in right into the check raiser. If I'm beat, I'm beat. I call off my remaining $2,280.
Once, twice, it's up to you.
Oh, whatever you want to do.
Twice is fine, although I think we probably have the same hand.
We decide to run the river twice, although I don't think it matters much because we most likely have the same hand. Deuce of diamonds on the first board and jack of spades on the second board. So you can imagine I was happily taken aback when I table my hand and he just picks up his and tosses it into the muck.
New day means new games. Leg day, how I move weights. With my crew like Wu-Tang. This Batman, not Bruce Wayne. You wanna be safe or stronger? I'm ready for war, I'm covered in armor.
The dealer pushes me the pot, brings the cards in again, and deals another hand. This time pitching me the ace-10 of clubs in the cutoff. The straddle isn't on, and when the action is folded to me, I open for $50 and take this one down. The dealer pushes me another pot. That's 3 in a row if you're counting at home. Brings the cards in and pitches me king, queen of diamonds in the hijack. Again, the straddle isn't on this hand. Open to $50 once more, and this time the button fights back with a 3-bet. He makes it $170. Action folds back around to me, and he's met with my 4-bet to $450, to which he folds. Another pot my way. That's 4.
Making them proud, I'm making them pay. I'm running the game, I'm running it up. Don't wanna get burnt, don't play with the flame. Too out to touch. Facing the storm, I fight through the pain. I go how I go, think I'm going insane. Know it's a stake, do what you want, just stay out the way.
The dealer now deals the next hand. I look down at ace-5 of diamonds in the low jack. The straddle is back on now. I announce $120 and throw out 2 black chips. Everyone folds. 5 in a row.
Hey, get ready, I'm running. Oh yeah, we coming. Keeping the winds abundant. No pain, I numb it. Hard times, I love it. Don't duck when they coming. These legs ain't running. I'ma keep it 100. Never been a crash dummy. All I do is get money. Dummy.
The very next hand is dealt, and this garbage dealer deals me queen 3 of diamonds. This has got to be a joke. What is this? I thought the dealer and I had, something going on. Fold.
Something tells me this ain't over.
Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, maybe we're running out of time, and maybe you know it. Saying it's wrong, saying it's right, saying it's worth a try with the fight of our lives, and I think you know it. I can remember the wonder, the awe, and what it took daily, the dream of it all. Look all around here. I stood under the vision we saw, we only knew that one, now we holding on to.
Something tells me this ain't over.
Been a fan of us from the start of us. It's better this way. Something tells me this ain't over. Hear the sound of us, every one of us. It's better this way. Something tells me we can walk, we can run, live our days under the sun, still trying, never stop trying. Can't pause or rewind, fast forward our lives, why try it? Gotta let this one play out. Time still keeps passing by.
A bit of time has passed and the straddle is still on when I look down at Ace Jack offsuit from the hijack and open to $100. The cutoff to my immediate left calls and the second blind calls and three of us see a flop, and it's a good flop at that. Ace 4-4 rainbow. The second blind checks, I continue for about third pot, and the cutoff behind me is my only caller. We head to the turn, heads up. The turn 8 of spades doesn't change much, and I continue for $250. And again, the cutoff calls. The river 3 of diamonds should be a complete blank. It's obvious the cutoff has an ace, and more than likely it's not ace king or ace queen because those would have 3-bet preflop. Unless I got unlucky and she rivered 2 pair, I'm ahead here. I bet targeting her top pair hands that won't fold and make it $600 and get snap called. And then snap surprised when she turns over 7-4 of diamonds. At some point, the table elected to put the straddle on permanently, essentially turning this must-move game into 10-20-40. It's at this point the game went way downhill. The action basically dried up. Most hands didn't see a flop, and there were multiple walks. The game became ungood. 2 players seemed pretty uncomfortable with this game, and unfortunately left. I played a few more orbits, and then left myself.
Hey, you know that I'm yeah, I'm moving real smooth when I walk through the party. And if you don't know, well, ahora ya tú sabes. Buscas lo suave, llámame. I got that suave. You know that I'm suave. I could do this all day. Look, yeah, I'm cooler than a Yeti on a jet ski. Can't nobody catch me.
I'm just with them sexy.
I be on the one like hit me. Double up the funk just for fun, yeah, hit me.
So we're back in the secret, well-lit Encore parking garage. I ran good in the 10-20 game, which was really 10-20-40. But I have now left that game. So we started with 5-10. We then played some 10-20-40. And then that game kind of turned into not so good. So we're back to 5-10. 5-10, 10-20, 40, back to 5-10. Quite the night.
Minutes later, I find myself back in the 5-10 streets. This second time around, I had more focus than earlier in the day. In this hand, the hijack has posted, so there's some dead money in this pot. He checks his option, and I decide to make it $60 to go from the small blind with 4-5 of hearts, and only the hijack comes along. The deuce 9-10 flop wasn't exactly what I was looking for. I check, as does he. The turn ace of clubs is much more my speed. A much easier card to represent following my pre-flop open. I make it $70 and, unfortunately for me, the hijack continues. As the river is approaching, I realize I'm kind of screwed. I'm a man without a country here. Him calling my turn bet when the ace falls isn't good at all. If I want to win this hand, I'm going to have to go heavy on this next card, or I just concede and give up. That's when the 4 of spades shows up. Well, that kind of changes things. Now at least I have some showdown value and can still win without blasting a big number at the hijack. I check, he checks it back, and I expose my hand. He doesn't show, but I assume my hand was the best as the dealer pushes me the pot. For me, this night is beginning to wind down. I might have a couple more orbits in me, and then it's time to just hit the road. Here I open the button with pocket 3s and get looked up by the big blind. Heads up, we see a flop of 8 king 3 with 2 clubs, and the big blind checks. Bottom set is normally a good time. I continue for $30, and the big blind isn't ready to release yet. He calls. If given the option, I could have picked a better turn card than the one that showed up. The 6 of clubs, which brings in the front door flush draw. He checks again, and I don't let off the gas. $100 this time. And the big blind calls. The river brings the 5 of spades, and the big blind checks for the last time. Looking at the board, there's still a ton of hands that can call me if I bet here that aren't flushes. We slide $300 into the middle, but it appears that the big blind does not have one of those calling hands. He folds. One of the last hands I play during this third session in a single day begins with the under the gun player opening the $30 and me 3-betting him to $100 from the cutoff with the best hand in all of pokerdom. 3-5 suited. It's at this point he should just fold. But he doesn't. He's stubborn and finds the call. Mano a mano, we see the flop that I knew was coming anyway. 3-3-6 rainbow. They just never learn. He now checks. I bet $70, which is actually maybe a smidge too big, and he finally comes to his senses and folds.
Yeah, I'm back in, I'm back on. Stand up like backbone. I'm beast mode, I'm so strong. Go hard or go home. No stopping, I can't stop. I will not lose. I'ma always win. Now let the games begin now. I'm never off my grind. I'm always on time. I'm ahead of the game, I'm first place. I'm in my prime. Hard work that pays off. I pay dues, I'm paid off. Cross me, get crossed off. I'm so fresh, I'm so raw. Go hard like A-Day. It's game time like game day. I ball hard and clutch play. It's game time like game day.
Okay, we out. We out, and end of session update incoming. Not here on the stairs, but we'll do it when we get home. And did you guys peep rain delay? Rain delay was in the house tonight.
Name something I ain't done. Name a body that's my type. Air Jordan, I'll take flight. I'm next level, I'm franchise. I'm top tier, I'm that guy. I'm the man.
So it's late and I am tired. Let's talk about what happened tonight. Played 3 sessions, 2 sessions of 5-10, 1 session at 10-20. When I got to the encore, jumped right into a 5-10 game and proceeded to lose about $1,000-ish in 2.5 hours because I couldn't get anything going. I then moved into the 10-20 game when that opened, which quickly became 10-20-40. I won a big pot with ace-king offsuit and left up in that game about $4,500 in about 2.5 hours. Then went back to the same 5-10 game and won about $400 in, I don't know, hour and a half. So good night for Random Saturday in early May. And with that, we got to wrap this thing up. We got to get to bed because we might play again tomorrow. So if you like the vlogs, leave me a comment. I'll probably respond, and subscribe and tell your friends and do all the things. And I'll see you soon. Bye. We're back. 6.5 miles later, an hour and 45 minutes later, with about 35 pounds on our back. We're back.
Ain't stop when we start, we gon' get it done. Start when we stop, we gon' get it done.
done. Get it when we start, we gon' get it done. Start when we stop, we gon' get it done. We gon' get it. We gon' get it. Hey.
We may have been here 2 nights ago, and we might have maybe punted off 300 big blinds with Ace King offsuit.
Ahead of my time, and that's a race against my past. Whenever they clock me, that's 2,000 on the dash. When it kinda tickles me, and every day I laugh. Yeah, you know we #1, and you don't need to ask.
Beach club time is wild. It's wild out there. Wild.
Imagine, feel like I'm a greyhound looking at a rabbit. Finish line so close, I reach out and grab it. I only look back just to look at your reaction.
What I do have to say is that I lost a big one.
When we start, we get it done. Take no days off, we #1. Lace up these kicks, and we run. Like this, we gon' get it done.
Tomorrow is Mother's Day. So we're going shopping for Mother's Day because, as you can see, always plan ahead.
We gon' get it done. Take no days off.
I just played in the most frustrating poker session of my entire career by far. Sorry to disappoint you, but I didn't mess up that many times this time. Not that many. Near perfect. We are walking outside and we're going to attempt to do a mid-session update. But it's Encore Beach Club time and it's Saturday, so we are back in our little well-lit parking garage lighting spot. And we're here for the second mid-session update. I played the, I think at one point I had maybe 7,500 in front of me. I lost a big pot that was mostly my fault with Ace Jack offsuit, and I cashed out for a little less than 7 grand. So up, the game went kinda. So Berkey won his match against Nick Airball. Then I jumped into a newly opened 1020 game, ran pretty hot. So I just heard that my buddy won his. It's busy. Busy Saturday, May 6th. Has to be May 6th. Cinco de Mayo was yesterday. So I just heard.
Just a dead man.